This is the news on Honor 103.5 FM. Honor FM News. Accurate, transparent, undiluted. We go there. We bring you the news behind the news. Honor FM News. If it's new, then it's news.
Good afternoon to you and welcome to the World News on Honor 103.5 FM. I am Seun Oyelowo. First, the headlines. Federal Executive Council approves Nigeria forced economic policy. Joint Admission and Matriculation Board (JAMB) releases 2025 UTME results with over 1.4 million candidates scoring below average. On the African scene, Ghana protesters accuse president of power grab. Spanish court drops tax complaint against former King Juan Carlos. Ukraine drone attacks forces temporary closure of Moscow airports. In business, federal government of Nigeria approves plan to attract $122 billion per investment. On the entertainment scene, Nigerian celebrities shines at 2025 Met Gala Awards. And in sports, Nigerian footballers Onyedika Onyemachi celebrates European successes. Now the news in details. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved a new economic policy framework tagged the Renew Hope for Nigeria First policy. The policy, which was approved at a meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu, aims to strengthen Nigeria's domestic economy and promote local contents. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris described the policy as a bold shift in the country's economic approach. According to Idris, the policy places Nigeria at the center of all public procurements and business activities, with a strong emphasis on empowering local industries and reducing dependency on foreign imports. The policy is expected to become the cornerstone of the administration's economic strategy, especially as the government pushes forward with its industrialization agenda and import substitution goals. The Attorney General of the Federation has also been directed to draft an executive order to give full legal effect to the new economic framework. "75% of the 1.9 million candidates who wrote this year's University Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) scored less than 200 out of the 400 maximum marks. According to the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board (JAMB), 420,415 candidates scored above 200 marks, while 7,658 had between 300 and 319. Only 4,756 candidates recorded above 320 marks in the examination written between April and last Friday. Reacting to the result, President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU), Professor Emmanuel Ochodeke, described the performance as terrible. He called on the government to take proactive actions to revive education, emphasizing the need to focus on primary and secondary education. Professor Ochodeke also expressed concern that the performance would have a negative impact on the requirements for admissions into tertiary institutions this year. On the African scene, hundreds of opposition protesters have taken to the streets of Accra, Ghana's capital, to condemn President John Mahama's decision to suspend the country's Chief Justice, Jethro Tokono. The protesters, dressed in red and black, accused the president of violating the constitution and interfering in the independence of the judiciary. They demand that the Chief Justice Takono be reinstated immediately. The suspension of Chief Justice Takono was announced last week, pending an investigation into her conduct. The president said 3 people had sent petitions to him containing undisclosed allegations against her. However, the opposition and some lawyers argue that the president's action is unconstitutional and an attack on democracy. The Ghana Bar Association has also condemned the suspension, saying it undermines independence of the judiciary. On the foreign scene, Spain's Supreme Court has dismissed a complaint against former King Juan Carlos for alleged tax offenses. The complaint was filed by a group of retired judges and other prominent figures in November 2024, arguing that Juan Carlos had failed to fulfill his tax obligations. However, the Supreme Court ruled that the complaint did not provide any new facts or evidence to justify reopening of investigation. The former king's reputation has been tarnished by the revelations about the suspicious origin of his fortune since his abdication in 2014. Juan Carlos has been living in self-imposed exile in the United Arab Emirates since 2020, but has returned to Spain periodically to participate in sailing and other regattas. Russia says Ukraine has launched an overnight drone attack targeting Moscow for the second night in a row, forcing all 4 of the capital's major airports to close temporarily. According to Russia's aviation watchdog Rosaviatat, the airports were shut down for several hours to ensure safety but have since been reopened. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin reported that at least 19 Ukrainian drones were destroyed before they reached the city of Moscow. The drone attacks is the latest escalation in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine has not commented on the attack, but the mayor of Kharkiv reported that Russia had also carried out drone strikes in the city overnight, as well as in the Kyiv area. The governor of Ukraine's Odessa region said 1 person was killed in a drone attack. In business, President Bola Tinubu has approved the National Integrated Electricity Policy, paving the way for $122.2 billion in investment to overhaul Nigeria's power sector. The policy aims to diversify the country's energy sources, reduce dependence on the national grid, and enhance the overall stability and sustainability of the nation's energy infrastructure. The policy outlines a sweeping reform agenda for the electricity sector, aligning with national development goals and global best practices. It seeks to secure a total investment of $122.2 billion between 2024 and 2045 in a way to develop the energy sector in Nigeria. And in the field of entertainment, Nigeria celebrities brought a bust of African flair to the 2025 Met Gala in New York City. The prestigious event held at the Metropolitan Museum of Arts saw Afrobeat sensations Burna Boy, Tems, Arasta, literary icons Chimamanda Adichie, and fashion designer Shanky Jerry rub shoulders with global icons from across other industries. The annual fashion fundraiser showcased individual style and interpretation of the year's theme, Superfine, tailoring black style. Tems dazzled in an African-inspired outfit with a Western twist featuring the beloved Ashwebi prints. Burna Boy wore a custom piece by Ghanaian-British designer Oswald Boateng, and Arasta brought a signature style in a sleek, floor-length and gown with a simple yet bold and unmistakable stylish attire. And in sport, Nigeria's footballers Bruno Onyemiachi and Raphael Oyedeke have made headlines in Europe after helping their respective